Are you ready? In the red corner, representing faithful followers around the globe, moral values and all that is wholesome, and smelling of sweet vanilla extract, the Mormon. And in the blue corner, representing all that is rational, sane, and scientific, and crushing the beliefs of children everywhere, the Atheist. Destroying all that is good and honorable in podcasting, and hailed by critics nowhere as one of the year's 10 best. Ladies and gentlemen, we give to you the Mormon and the Atheist. You may begin composing your hate mail now.
It is that time once again, ladies and gentlemen. The moment you've been waiting for, another brand spanking new episode of The Mormon and the Atheist. I am your host, David Anthony, the Atheist. With me is Sarah the Mormon. You can find our podcasts on iTunes. You can find us on the web at blog.mormonatheist.com. You can send us email at mormonatheist@yahoo.com, or you can follow us on Twitter, which we encourage you to do, at Mormon and Atheist. And as always, I usually bring this up at the top of the show. If you have any show topic ideas for us, we'd love to hear your ideas. A couple of our past shows have come from listeners, and they've actually turned out to be, I think, some of our best topics. So I think we need to field more ideas from listeners, because you and I, Sarah, clearly are
We don't know what people...
What's that?
We don't know what people want to talk about.
We don't know what anybody wants to talk about. We shoot stuff out there, and we hope that you'll like it. But clearly, we have not been delivering the goods. So send us your ideas. We'd love to hear it. And with that, how are you today, Miss Sarah, the Mormon?
I'm looking forward to a lovely, pleasant, calm conversation.
This one shouldn't be too bad. It's not going to be anything. There's been nothing too confrontational in the news as far as religion goes. There's certainly been a lot in the news lately, but nothing you and I need to be concerned with for the podcast. Nothing that could cause trouble or ill will between us during this podcast. So I think this one should be safe.
I'm looking forward to it. We can be friends again.
I think we can come to terms and not get on each other's nerves. So what is today's topic, Sarah?
Us.
Us! A topic we can finally speak with some authority on, because I think a lot of the listeners wonder who the heck we are.
I was trying to figure it out myself.
We don't know actually who we are. This is a self-discovery process, this podcast. So we thought we'd take one podcast out of all these that we plan to make and just talk quickly about who we are, what our backgrounds are, how we came to believe what we believe or not believe. And with that, I think I will graciously allow Sarah to lead if she wishes.
Ooh.
And I promise I won't interrupt too much.
You won't interrupt her
too much.
Or...
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the lovely little intro, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what do you want to know?
So
I don't like talking about myself, because this will be a little bit difficult.
This will be awkward. Should I just ask you questions and you can answer?
No, this is not a Q&A. I don't want you asking my question.
How about you present it like, I had this friend who grew up in a Mormon household. That way you tell it sort of in the third person, so we don't think it's about you.
But we just explained that it is about me.
But you'll feel more comfortable sharing the story that way.
Okay, no, I'm fine. I just... You know me, for some reason I can be shy, and I don't love to talk about me as much as I like to argue with you. But
your many passions.
The funny thing is, we actually are friends. I know it sounds like we aren't during the podcast sometimes. But, I mean, yeah, we're friends, right? We're still friends.
Sometimes. Yes, we are friends. In fact, I just opened a lovely birthday gift from you, which was very thoughtful.
Once a year, I do something nice for you.
It is, yeah, and I a couple of weeks ago, it was your birthday, and I gave you a gift as well. So we do share some pleasantries from time to time. We are actually good friends.
It was a slushy mug.
It was a slushy mug.
Slushy. I love my slushies. Okay.
And what was the other gift? Every
Oh,
girl's...
chocolate.
Yes, chocolate.
For my favorite.
What
Trader
every
Joe's.
girl... Trader Joe's dark chocolate.
I know, and you went and found it, so that was very kind of you.
I feel like we just did a plug. If anybody from Trader Joe's is listening, we do some chocolate.
The atheist or the Mormon over at Trader Joe's is working over there.
Yeah.
Just was.
They've got us tuned in at Trader Joe's.
I guess we should get to the what we're here to talk about, right?
Are we okay? We clearly, this is what happens when we're not on air.
There's no rhyme or reason.
It's constant chaos.
That should have been the name of the podcast. Chaos.
Chaos or constant chaos.
Wait, what was Britney Spears? Oh, it was Chaotic, wasn't it? That she had a reality show or something that's called Chaotic.
Britney Spears had a reality show?
Didn't she?
I have no idea.
Reality something in couple. I never saw it, but I thought, okay, never mind.
Okay, let's enough of Britney Spears.
Let's begin.
Let's talk about you. So you are Mormon.
Yes,
I
was born.
If you weren't, this show we'd have some explaining to do to the audience.
So, like I've mentioned and I've told you before, I'm not some eloquent intellectual who has all the answers, and I'm not doing this just to that because I have a firm opinion on everything. I'm just trying to figure stuff out.
Your PhD isn't real?
No, I know a lot of people go to BYU to get their MRS. That's a joke. If you're Mormon, you've heard that one before. And laughter, that was hilarious.
Okay, go ahead. So where do we begin? What was life like as a child in the household of Sarah?
Okay. Well, first of all, the only advantage I feel like I have is that I did start off earlier on in life questioning things or understanding things of a spiritual nature. Mm-hmm. So from a young age, I was always a little bit more spiritually sensitive, you could say, even than other kids at church. I was just more sensitive to those type of things. So I always had a lot of questions when I was a kid. And the joke in my family was, if you want to know what time it is, you ask mom. If you want to know how to make the clock, you ask dad. My dad was, but it wasn't really funny. Usually my dad, he was a very intelligent man. He was a doctor. He was a man of science.
So
but he was
using the past tense. He's no longer these things?
No, he is.
Okay.
But it's like when I was a kid, this is how I saw him.
I see.
You weren't going to interrupt.
I'm providing clarification.
He's still alive.
Oh, very good. That's what we...
And actually, I still enjoy calling my dad every once in a while, and I'll ask him something, and it usually is at least an hour-long conversation.
Wow,
Kinda
somebody
like
who can speak longer than you?
Shut it.
It's impressive.
Anyways, okay, so my dad, he was a very intelligent man. He was a doctor, man of science, and he was a man of faith. And I think he was probably one of the strongest individuals in helping to form my beliefs and my opinions. And I think one of the reasons why I am a little more open about it. So I would have all these conversations with my dad when I was a kid. And as I became a teenager, I kept asking lots of questions. I kept studying a lot. I was a really funny kid. I would seriously spend hours reading the Bible and then the Book of Mormon, which is the Mormon book, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I'd read lots of other religious books and talks. And instead of Nancy Drew and the Babysitters Club, which all my friends were reading, I was reading books about like religion and spirituality. So
I must have had friends just beating down your door to...
You know, the funny thing is I did have lots of friends, but I just had a very curious nature about life, and I wanted to understand things from a very young age.
Were you open about these activities with your friends? I mean, did you let them know this is what you did, or was it more just you, personal time that you...
This was just me, personal time. I didn't really carry my books around with me at church.
Okay, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, were you openly professing this? Were you trying to encourage others?
I had a lot of good Mormon friends, but I didn't advertise the fact that I was home reading and studying and thinking, and that was something that was private to me, so I didn't really talk about it a lot, except with my parents, maybe.
The grade schools you attended, were they public or private? Were they religious? Public, okay.
No, just normal public schools.
Do you happen to know what the Mormon population was of the school you attended, or?
I know in high school there weren't maybe 50 Mormons in about class of 500 or so maybe about So I think between 5 to 10% were Mormon.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't bad. There was enough kids that I had some friends that had the same beliefs that I had, but it was also, I liked it because I also got to know lots of other people, and my friends were not just limited to Mormons,
Okay.
which I think is beneficial so that you don't have such a sheltered life.
Yes.
So I guess you can call it spiritual journey started when I was really young. And that's part of the reason why like I mentioned, we talked about in our last podcast, why I think it's important to teach a spiritual foundation for kids, because they need something to build on for later on in their, spiritual development. And I think if I hadn't had that foundation as a kid, my beliefs would be very different now. You'd probably say they'd be better. But
I'm not here to challenge anything you're saying today.
Oh, this is going to be...
This is going to be really awkward for you.
I know, because I
don't know how you're going to handle this.
I'm going to pause and just let you...
Yep. No, I'm not here. Those are the ground rules. We're not challenging each other. Today's not a debate. Today's simply just a...
Well, maybe this will be the time for me to make a lot of harsh, really strong claims. You can't say.
Do you come from a long line of Mormon believers? How far back does it go in your family? And what is the extent? Both sides of your family, your mom and your uncles and cousins?
Yeah, so my mom's side of the family goes back. Actually, my mom's side, her parents were converted. So they met missionaries and were converted when she was a young child. So she was not born a Mormon. She joined later with her parents and her family. And all the rest of her siblings have raised their kids, and they're all still active in the Mormon faith, except for one who isn't. And then my dad, they have more of the history of going back from pioneers who crossed the plains that were persecuted and pushed out west. And, so he has more heritage. There's generations of members from the 1800s.
Okay.
So he has more history there.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know that doesn't...
I was just curious about the lineage, if it was more recent, the conversions in your family, or if it was if it's more long held.
My mom's side recent. My dad, they have been around for a while. So growing up a Mormon, I didn't really feel like I was too different. And it wasn't, and even going to a Mormon school at BYU, I didn't feel different once again. So it wasn't until I left my little Mormon bubble in Utah and got out in the world and, got a job and got involved in the community that I realized how different Mormons really are from the majority of people.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think everybody gets to a point, no matter what religion or what their spirituality is, they get to a point where they have to evaluate their beliefs. Like, do they have their beliefs because of how they were raised, or if it's really what they believe, if it's their decision. I think people in life, they tend to find what they're looking for. Most people are not looking for God or a reason to believe in God. But from an early age, I was looking for God, and I was looking for a reason and understanding and clarity. And I believe that I was Mormon for a long time because that's what I knew and that's how I grew up. But over the last few years, I've, just like anybody else, I've struggled, I've questioned my faith, I've tried to figure things out for myself. And I can say that I'm not Mormon now because my parents are Mormon. I'm Mormon because that's where I found the most truth for me now. And I'm not saying I agree with everything, and there's a lot about the Mormon faith I don't understand, but for now in my life, I feel like it's a good fit. So that's kind of the spiritual journey of how I got to where I'm at now. And I feel like I could have found equal and compelling reasons to leave the Mormon faith if I wanted to. And
I'm sure my bullying hasn't helped.
You know what's funny? Your challenging has actually helped a little bit. Because I remember some of our conversations when I started to really question things, and you really pushed me. You wouldn't take an answer.
I'm pretty relentless sometimes when it comes to debating topics. It really
helped me to solidify what I believed. I couldn't be wishy-washy when I talked with you about topics because you wouldn't allow for wishy-washy.
I don't. I need concrete.
You're like, I want you to know exactly what. So it actually helped a little bit. And I think that it helps for me because people view the world, like we've talked about, through their own filters. They let in what they want. They see what they want. And it took me a while to understand and to see, I guess, logic and science versus faith and religion has always been something that I've struggled with. That's where it gets hard, is being open and objective and questioning your faith without losing it. Because I think the hardest path is to question your faith and then return to it. And I really do believe